almost no one admits out loud. It is not the fear of pain. It is not the fear of failure. It is not even the fear of dying. It is the fear of what comes after. Or perhaps something even more unsettling. The fear that nothing comes after at all. The idea of emptiness, of absolute silence, of complete disappearance. Our mind, accustomed to thinking, remembering, projecting, experiencing, rebels against the possibility of ceasing to exist. We do not know how to imagine nothingness, and because we cannot imagine it, we fear it. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a man who carried enormous responsibility wrote sober reflections about this very subject. He did not write them to comfort others. He wrote them to steady himself in the face of human fragility. That man was Marcus Aurelius. His view of death was neither dramatic nor sentimental. It was rational. For him, there were only two possibilities. Either death is a transition into another form of existence, or it is a complete dissolution. In both cases, there is no reason for fear. Think about that carefully. If there is something beyond this life, then it is not emptiness, it is transformation. And if there is nothing, then there is no suffering either. There is no awareness of the void, no perception of absence, no experience of non-being. The fear we feel is not fear of the actual void. It is fear of the idea of the void while we are still alive. We fear nothingness, yet nothingness cannot be experienced. It is like the time before you were born. You did not suffer it. You did not feel it. It did not disturb you. You simply were not. Why should what comes after be any different? The modern mind clings desperately to continuity. We want our story to continue. We want our identity to persist. We want our consciousness to remain lit. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of something essential. We are part of a natural process. Everything changes. Everything transforms. Everything dissolves to make room for something else. Leaves fall. Seasons shift. Bodies age. Nothing in nature insists on permanent form. And yet the universe is not tragic because of this. It is dynamic. Death, viewed this way, is not punishment. It is function. The real problem is not death itself. It is our attachment to permanence. We were taught to believe that ceasing to exist is the ultimate loss. But loss for whom? If there is no consciousness afterward, then there is no experienced loss. The fear of the void is a mental projection. It is the ego attempting to imagine its own disappearance. But the ego cannot experience its own absence. It is a paradox. While we are alive, we project fear onto a state that, if it truly is emptiness, will never be consciously encountered. Marcus Aurelius insisted on something practical. Do not waste the present fearing what is inevitable. Death is not something you can prevent by worrying, but constant fear is something that can steal your life right now. Consider how many hours, how many days, how much mental energy are consumed by anxiety about something universal and natural. This is not denial, it is lucid acceptance. Accepting that we are temporary does not reduce the value of life, it intensifies it. If you truly understood that this moment is limited, you would live it with greater clarity and intention. The fear of emptiness arises when we believe our identity is separate from everything else, an isolated entity that must defend its continuity at all costs. But the Stoic perspective suggests something different. We are temporary expressions of a larger whole. We come from something. We exist within something. We return to something. Even if that something is simply matter reorganizing itself. Nothing in the universe is wasted. It transforms. Your body is already dust rearranged. Your thoughts are brief electrical patterns. Your identity is a narrative in motion. Why demand eternity from something that was always transient? The fear of the void is often fear of losing control, but we never had full control over the length of our existence. We only have partial control over how we live while we are here, and that is where power truly lies. Marcus Aurelius did not advise obsessing over what comes after. He advised living in such a way that when the end arrives, there is no regret. If you act with justice, if you live with integrity, if you strengthen your character, if you contribute to something beyond yourself, then death is not a tragic interruption. It is the natural closing of a completed chapter. Fear diminishes when the conscience is at peace. Often we do not fear the void as much as we fear having wasted our life. Anxiety about death is frequently anxiety about unlived potential, and that, unlike death, is something within your influence right now. You cannot choose how long you will live, but you can choose how you live.